Welcome to the Digital Forester podcast, where we talk to foresters about how they are using digital technologies in their day-to-day forestry work. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Digital Forester podcast. Today, I have two guests from Sweden. First, we have Markus Drugge he's the founder and CEO of Arboair. And we also have Jacob Hjalmarsson, who's the CEO of Arboair. Markus and Jacob, how are you doing today?
Good. Really good.
Awesome.
Very good. Thank you.
Good stuff. So we have two of you. So we're gonna have some fun today. Get both of your backgrounds, your views on what the world of precision forestry looks like. But maybe I'll start off with you, Markus, in terms of your background and your journey. I note that you have an economics background, also an engineering background, but also a forest owner, which is a unique combination of all three. But maybe share with our audience your background. What's your journey? What got you into forests and forestry?
Oh, yeah, that's a journey. That's a long journey, actually. But I came into this because I was studying to be an engineer in Linköping, in Östergötland, in Sweden. And the first 2 years, I got two kids. So my two firstborn sons. And then I took just a little bit of a break from my studies. And then I took just one course that I were really interested in, and it was in entrepreneurship. And you know, and that was, I've always been very interested in that, because like my whole family, like my father is an entrepreneur, my grandfather were, and my mother's father, you know, and my sisters, and you know, everyone is it. So every time when it were like Christmas celebration or something, you know, we were talking about like customers and all that stuff. So, and in this entrepreneurship course, they told us like, oh, you need to find out some kind of idea that you could commercialize and just look into it. And actually, I've always been really interested in, like sustainable ways of doing stuff, and also like how can you work like very close to the things that are in a life cycle in our environment and capturing carbon and so on. So I started off looking at farm, like how to work in agriculture, actually. And I went out to a farmer in just outside of the town, and his name was Bosse, and I asked him like, you know, I have this vision, you know, I have this drone swarms like going all around, you know, flying all this stuff, and, you know, analyzing your fields and all that stuff. And he was like, I don't know, you know, but he told me like, you know, I'm always the whole summer, I'm always sitting in my tractor at the fields and working hard, you know, but I've never any time to go back and look into the forest that I own. And the bark beetles, the mountain bark beetles are like destroying it every day, and we're losing money. So can you look into that problem, please? And I said, yeah, of course. And then I started just looking into it. And when I started looking into it, you know, it was, you know, man, it was so much to look into, because like I haven't even like thought about that problem at a global scale, you know. And when I began to Google it, you know, I saw like Canada, you know, Rocky Mountains, like Poland, Russia, Germany, you know, they call it the silent fire. And, you know, I was like, what? I'm shocked, you know. And I saw that it was spreading even north for every year, you know. And then I was like, I need to do something, you know, I need to look into this problem in a way, in the way that I can, you know, from a technical background. How can I like work with this, you know?
Yeah, so amazing. So you went to see a farmer and ended up discovering trees and forests and a whole issue or challenge there. So amazing story there. And maybe Jacob, from your side, tell me more about your background, because I know you're an environmental engineer. You've got a pulp and paper background. Both of you, I think, studied at, I was going to say Linköping, but obviously I pronounced it wrong, but Linköping as you said it, and I probably still pronounced it wrong. For our listeners, this is somewhere southwest of Stockholm, kind of in between Gothenburg and Malmo and Stockholm, for those who know Sweden. But Jacob, maybe share what your background is, and maybe connect the dots in terms of how you and Markus met. Were you childhood friends, met at school? But what's your background, and what's that cool story that connected the two of you?
Oh yeah, as you said, I have background as an environmental engineer, and early in my studies at university, I felt that I love learning stuff, but I'm more of a practical person. My driving forces are doing stuff. I love to do stuff, and I love to be a driving force when I do stuff. I also have quite a creative imagination. So innovative solutions, doing new kind of stuff, that was what I wanted to do. So already at my second year at university, I started a consultancy firm specializing in sustainability consultancy. So we helped a few different companies with the ISO certification. So it's in the certification for environmental standards, engineer standards, and so on. And we also helped companies working towards the UN global sustainability goals. And within this work, I was hired by a company called S03 Skogsägarna. So it's a South Forest Owner Association in Sweden. And I was hired to do a job as an environmental engineer in their pulp and paper factory in the south of Sweden. And through this job, I learned quite quickly about the problems with timber inflow, and especially when it comes to bark beetle damaged timber inflow to a paper and pulp mill. That was something that was a huge problem for us when I worked there. And this was during my time as a engineer student that I worked with this consultancy firm and worked at S03. And during an event, because I drove this kind of company, and I also always loved computers and software. So I started quite early with this company together with the ones I worked with then to try and develop a software for to help companies meet the UN's global sustainability goals. And I was invited to a meeting together with the Prince of Sweden. He has an entrepreneurial fellowship with successful entrepreneurs. So it's people who were starting off some of the biggest fintech companies in Sweden, some with the biggest food tech companies and so. And I was invited to sit there, and at the same table as me were the Prince of Sweden, Daniel, one of the founders of the company HelloFresh, and Markus Drugge. So this is the people that I remember from this event. And I'm sitting here and I hear Markus tell me a story about this farmer Bosse and his idea. And as a person that has been working in the paper and pulp mill, seeing this problem from that side, being somebody that loves doing innovative stuff and driving forces, I just felt that I love this idea. So amazing. After this event, I took Markus at the side, because we know each other a little bit because we had met in some different courses. And I told him that I love your idea, and I'm going to give you two options. One, we work together, or two, we're the biggest competitors.
Oh, what a great story. So it's like,
yes.
Hey, we're either gonna fight or we're gonna get along and
yes.
be successful together. That's an amazing story. Absolutely amazing. I did notice that in the background there from agriculture to forestry, and then your stories about meeting the Prince with the Prince Daniel Fellowship. It seems like that was a genesis point for both of you to go forward. Yes. So that's absolutely amazing. So maybe where we are now in our conversation, it'd be great if Markus, I'll get you. It sounds like, visionary, strategic guy with Markus, and then Jacob, ideas, doer, get the hands dirty and get stuff done. That's what I'm hearing, which is often a great recipe for when we think about entrepreneurship, the high in the sky thinker sometimes, and then the doer making things happen. And you know what I mean there. Love hate relationship sometimes, I'm sure. But thinking of Arboair, maybe introduce me in terms of what the mission vision of Arboair is and what you're trying to accomplish or what problem you're solving. We've heard about the beetle, so I'm assuming this is a precision forestry solution, doing some type of quantitative analysis to support decision making. But I'll let you guys describe things, as I know you advertise 15 times faster, 8 times more accurate for large areas, but maybe for our listeners, give us context. What are you guys solving?
Yeah. So like we started off like just looking into the whole industry, just gathering all the information that we could, for the need. And then we saw like that the bark beetle, that was one of the biggest needs. And so we started off just looking into like invasive species, actually, just that like destroyed the forest or the ecosystems, or when it's not the balance. And like we didn't know what kind of technology we were supposed to use for this, but like it became quite clear after a while that like we need high precision. We need to analyze every tree and like really see the characteristics of every tree. And also like we saw that what kind of technologies there are out there. They are very flexible. So somebody that could go out with something and just do it like at the spot, and that was drones then. And we saw also that like if we get so many pictures from the forest, we can't do this manually. We can't handle the flow of information coming into the company. So we need some kind of AI or smart computer vision, something to analyze this for us. So we started off there, I think. Jacob, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I want to add that our vision is for the power of trees. We're working for trees and for everything that we can do and our vision is our mission is to do this by being a leading actor when it comes to digitized sustainable precision forestry. We want to give you exact information about every single tree in the forest, no matter if it's for the use of increase of biodiversity in the forest, if it's for carbon sink in the forest, or if it's for gaining timber value. We want to give forest owners and forest companies the possibility to have the data necessary to take action for a more sustainable future.
Very cool. Very cool. So when I think of listening to that and your solution, I know there's an Arbo portal, there's an Arbo planner. Often I find an easy way to share with the listeners and viewers what you do is the role play. So I'm Kevin. I'm not Busa, but maybe I'll just call myself Kevin. And I've got a woodlot, and I've got some beetle issues and all sorts of issues happening right now, and I need your help. So I call Markus and Jacob and I say, hey, I need your help. But I'm busy farming, so I don't have that much time. I just need you to solve my problem. And you're probably like, this is exactly how it goes. What do I need to give you? I don't have a drone. I just know my forest is over there. So maybe walk me through that journey of what I need to do or provide you to get, and what am I going to get back? I'm assuming the apps are I can put on my phone and display maps and query and get an answer. But maybe walk me through that step of what I would need to give you, especially if our listeners are saying, hey, I might want to try something with Arboair. What are the things I need to prepare for? So when I call Markus or Jacob, they'll be like, yep, let's go, ready to go. Here are the things.
Yeah. So I would say like it depends if you, Kevin, like to fly your own drones, or if you have that kind of interest. Then you just call us and say, oh, I have a drone. I want to fly my estate. I want to analyze that. Okay, we say do that by our drone guide, and then you just gather the images and you drag and drop it up to our cloud, and you get the analysis like to look at there. But if you say like, oh no, these drones, they're so, I don't know, they're very hard to understand or something, then we just say, okay, we send somebody out there, they're going to fly the whole estate for you, and they're going to gather all the images that we need. And then you get the result back, and we're going to send an email to you when everything is ready, and then you can look it up yourself.
Okay. So thinking of that, thinking on the drones thing, maybe I'll go to Jacob, since more on the technical side. Are there specific types of drones we have to use? Is it multispectral we're talking about, or LiDAR or something? SLAM, I don't know, on a drone, but what is there a secret sauce, as I sometimes call it, or a special thing? Or is it just fly the imagery, fly LiDAR, whatever you want, we'll take it and use it?
Yeah, that's the secret sauce in our solution. We can take in a really wide range of sources. You can use a LiDAR drone as long as you give us some RGB images as well. You can use a simple commercial drone bought on just some regular electronic store for a cheap price. And you can use whatever you have, and we'll gather that data that you provide us, and we will give you information through that from that data. Okay. So that's a bit about the secret sauce. We call it the Arboair. You could actually use different kinds. You can use airplane images, you can use images taken from a helicopter. You can even use satellite imagery. So we have this wide range of sources, depending on the granularity that you need. Do you need a higher resolution of the result? Then of course we need a higher resolution in the input data. So if you have a better LiDAR data, then we can give you a higher resolution in a result. If you have a higher resolution in imagery, then we can give you a higher resolution in the output result as well. And so it's, if you can see the trees in the LiDAR data in the images, then our AI models can detect that and give you the characteristics of every single tree in an image.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is, we can extract individual trees, get physical characteristics about them. Maybe as we talk about that beetle, that health component, I think I'm hearing that some measure there. Are there any other biophysical variables that in the secret sauce, the Arboair secret sauce, as a customer I could get?
Yeah, we actually have a wide range of data. We can extract around almost 30 different parameters per tree. Wow. With our solutions, you can get the height of a tree, the width of the tree in different levels of the tree, how large the crown is of a tree, and how much it's widening out on the tree as well. So yeah, and with all this information, we have algorithms to tell you exactly which tree contains which kind of carbon. We can tell you which trees has the best suitable, or is best suitable for different kind of biodiversity activities, and so on. So right. Yeah, we can extract a lot of information.
Right. So touching a lot on the timber, the commercial timber, carbon, biodiversity, ecosystem services. Yeah, very, very cool. So staying with you, Jacob, I'm assuming, again, watching, listening, talking to you and Markus, I'm sure Markus wants everything yesterday, and I want to do this, I want to do that. Like, come on, like this can't be that complicated, Jacob. Like, come on, let's build this. Maybe tell me more about the technology behind the scenes. We're talking about AI. You mentioned going into the cloud. Are there anything special? Like, are you using public clouds like Azure, or AWS, or what can you share in terms of the technologies that are at play?
I'd say that both me and Markus are a bit, how complicated can it be? Nothing's impossible. That's both me and Markus' view on everything. And the best technical stars is not me at Arboair. We have a tech team that's amazing. They get prizes all the time for how great they are. So I'll try and summarize all of the amazing things that our tech team does. And yeah, we're using a cloud solution, and we are partnered with the AWS. So we're a certified AWS partner using their cloud and their computing solutions. But we have our own developed algorithms for most of our solutions. We have some networks that we have trained from off the shelf, but most of our solution is self-developed algorithms. when it comes to what we use. We most of the people in Arboair come from a computer science background or a software background.
Right, right. Very cool, very cool. So again, thinking of the background, your introductions, Jacob, you started a company while you're still going through school. So that tells a lot about your interests, who you are. Then Markus had kids, while going to school, then had all these ideas. So I think maybe going to Markus, thinking of where you are today, there's also this concept of inventory as a service I saw on your website. Tell me more about that. What's the thinking there as Jacob described, there's all like 30 variables, parameters we can extract on trees. We can do all sorts of different things. But is the long-term vision of Arboair to be a SaaS, a software as a service company that offers inventory as service, and this is a stepping stone to get there?
Yeah. That's exactly it. That's actually what we do today. Like the customers that we like, almost like 50-50 maybe of the customers that we have today, 50% of them they use it as just as a software as a service, and they pay monthly. Others they maybe have a very certain project that they want to do for a customer or for themselves, if they own a lot of forest or something, and they say, oh, we want to know everything about this forest. Maybe they're going to buy the forest, maybe they're going to do some cutting, thinnings, something, and they just want to have an analyzer for that on a really, really good level. And then they call us and we do that project with them. So but like in the long run, we're thinking of people could just log into our portal and just say this is my estate wherever it is in the world, and you log in and you say I want this checked, and then we do the rest. So that's the goal, the mission, the vision for the service, I would say.
Right. And thinking of your website, I saw some press releases, Holman in Sweden was testing your technology, and I'm sure what you just said, there's lots of examples. I think you've already saved the industry $2 million for X thousands of hectares.
Yeah.
But what has the journey gone the way you expected? And I'm thinking from the adoption or reception from, maybe to start with the Swedish forest industry, and then we can go beyond. But has it been welcoming with open arms, or has there been some speed bumps in the journey of Arboair and trying to, maybe I'd say, convince people that this works or is doable? It's not, AI ruling the world. There's some guardrails. What can you share about your experience so far? Because this is pretty cutting edge, leading edge technology you're dealing with.
I would say the biggest thing to handle actually is the it's such a disruptive innovation, so it's like people, they can't really grasp how effective this is. They always have their knowledge from how people, how you do today, right? So in Sweden, usually people go out by foot and they look through the forest by foot and check it up, and they make maybe plans for how to handle that forest in maybe 10 years or something. And today they could do maybe 20 to 50 hectares per day, and with our technology, you can do maybe 500 to 1,000 hectares in a day, and you have a knowledge of all the trees there. Even if it's you can just search for oh, I want to see where my pines are that are 23 years old with this height and this diameter. Oh, they're here on the map. So, and it's people need to, from the beginning, they were oh, I can do 20 hectares better with this, I can do it more more efficient, these 20. But when you say yeah, but take everything, it's like, oh, how can I handle this, and how can I do, like, what should I do now then? And some people, they just say, well, what should I do the rest of the year then? If I could do it this quickly. So that kind of bumps we have met, but actually, usually it's like this. When our customers have like pressed the button, like scan this forest, or like experience the technology in any way, then that kind of bump just disappears. They just, oh, is it this quick? Is it this? Can I see that? Is this really what, and then they're like, and some of our customers that, as you said, Holmen and so on, they use this for their whole inventory for the south of Sweden last year. And the people doing it last year, they're like, there's no turning back now. When you done this for some weeks, you can't go back. So because you like what you can do in a day, you can like work for a month. It's not even possible.
Yeah, well, digital transformation as an example underway there for sure. So maybe going to Jacob on something a bit more technical, and not to say Markus can't answer it, because I sense both of you are very complementary and aligned in terms of your thinking and capabilities, but your platform solution also offers an API, or application programming interface. So maybe tell me more on where that idea came from and what you're trying to accomplish by offering an API to your customers.
Yeah, it mainly comes from that we're analytical experts. We're really good at creating algorithms, training AI models, and setting up the environment for our analysis solutions to work. And doing a front end and a system for users to use it has from the beginning been a means to an end, a means to try it, test it. We started actually as only an analysis solution with selling API, the API key. It didn't work, not at all. Nobody wanted to buy an API unless they could try it and test it. So we actually had to develop our front end and the system for people to actually access it more easily. And we see that we're going towards a transition where other software and system providers are contacting us, wanting to use our analytical models in their own system to sell them forward to others as well. So that's the reason why we created our package with an API, so that other system providers could use our analytical models for their customers as well.
Yeah, so very interesting. I thought the API would have come after, but what you're saying is, we originally thought, like, from a business model point of view, we would have the API, and then you had to build the front end after the fact versus the other way around. So that's quite fascinating. And it sounds like in the end, the output was correct, in the sense that people do want the API, but you needed to give them something to touch, feel, or smell, as I joke sometimes. Until you do that, what you have isn't legitimate for some odd reason. Okay, so that's very cool. So thinking of your technology for our listeners and viewers, if we were to describe the unique value proposition about Arboair, what would you say? And I'll open that to either one of you to tackle the $1 million question.
Yeah, I'd say that our solution is flexible in the sense that we can use a so wide range of sources. We can take in a lot of different kind of data sources to provide a result. And at the same time, it's a solution that goes very, very quickly. If you have a standard commercialized cheap DJI drone, you can take at least 1,000 hectares of forest a day easily. And if you have maybe a drone with wings instead of a quadricopter, you can take like 5,000 or 10,000 hectares a day. Then you add it to a grid sensor to an airplane, you can take 50,000 hectares a day. So the solution is scalable in the sense that we can use different kind of sensors. You can take large areas. Our solution is cost effective for customers because you can scale it up and down with the usage and how much forest that you have in your estates or the states that you are connected to. And it's, yeah, I'd say that is the main reasons. And of course, almost 30 parameters on a tree level. I think that's not many others that actually can provide that kind of insights.
Yeah, Markus, what do you think? Anything to add to Jacob's pitch?
I think it's what he said is so true, and it's very, it's spot on. But one other thing here is that is also a difference between some of our competitors is like some just use like low resolution images or like free satellite images or something, then it's not high precision. You can just say like in this region, it seems to be a problem. So you go and check it out, and so you anyhow you need to put on your boots and go out and check it out. It's a little bit too rough. And what we do is like when it's high precision, we can just say, pick this tree, and there are companies in Sweden developing drones for harvesting trees. And they need a GPS location for a tree. So we can like, oh, here are all the trees that you want. Just go and pick them up and fly them out, and it's not, that's very unusual that you can do that.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, and something very trendy in the EU is the new kind of methods to work with your forest. Today we have the clear cut method. People want the continuity kind of forest where you pick dead single trees in a forest and let the under ones grow up. And that requires more precision data about the forestry.
Right. Very interesting. So thinking of your example of 1,000 to 10,000 hectares to 50,000 or 100,000 hectares, two questions on that front. One around speed. I'm hearing it's fast. It goes to the cloud. But how fast is fast? Like, so can you help me quantify 1,000 to, I don't know, 50,000 hectares? Is this I upload it and I get a result back in 2 minutes or 1 day, or what's fast?
Usually in Sweden, the benchmark, like a lot of people in Sweden, they own somewhere between 50 or 100 hectares. So we benchmark at 100 hectares though. So if we do an analysis on 100 hectares, it should be, you should fly the drone, get the result, and look it up in your iPad or something in 30 minutes. That's like, wow. That's the benchmark for that. Like we haven't had any customers going up to like 50,000 hectares in like, going with airplanes yet. So I don't really know the numbers for that, but we have built it in a very scalable way. So it's, I would say like the day after anyhow. Yeah, very impressive. And the reason I also ask that is depending, as both of you know, as without question, depending where you are in the world, it's either, thousands of hectares or at least in Canada, millions of hectares. And so having that scalability is critical. And so the second question, and I always ask, it's the awkward one, but I know all our listeners, viewers always ask, want to know is there a sense of order of magnitude of cost that you can share, so someone listening can go, oh, it's a per unit hectare or acre cost, or what can you share on that front? And again, we don't need details as opposed to some order of magnitude, so people can get a sense that I need $1 million, I need $5 million, or I need $1.99. So Kevin, then what would you like to pay for it if you have an estate in Canada?
Yeah, good question. 30 parameters. Right now in Canada, some folks will pay $2 to $5 a hectare, as an example, for not 30 variables at scale. Some might pay less, some might pay more, some might pay, in infinite amount of money if you're able to actually solve my problem. But with anything, I think at least in Canada, the US, there's a lot of private land. So I think it fits that estate model very well. In Canada, there's some private land out east and in other out west, but for the large part, they're large chunks of middle of nowhere nothingness. So being able to solve that problem of the remote geography while providing precision data is key. But our forests are also natural, complex, ugly things, multiple species versus the types in Sweden there. I think you guys have you can count them on your hands versus we need multiple hands to count our species. But that gives you a sense of people will pay if. I think the mistake I often hear when I talk to the community is that we can't afford it, but often we haven't spent the time to define what it is we actually are trying to address or answer. And then we almost kind of put the horse in front of the cart. But that's roughly order of magnitude what I'm seeing, people flying and then translating data on a pixel or individual tree level.
What I also understand from Canada is that usually, correct me if I'm wrong here, but what I heard is that you have quite big forest companies, and they like almost rent a forest, or because it's the government that owns everything, right? And then they take this chunk of woodland I need to harvest from. Is it right? And
Absolutely.
then they take that.
Yeah, it's crown land. So for the most part in Canada, it's crown land. And so large forestry companies have leases on the land, and then based on their requirements as foresters, as good stewards of the environment, it's their job to make sure that the resource is harvested sustainably and future and available for future generations. So absolutely, in Canada, it's very different in Sweden, and that's why I say in the US, there's a lot of private, probably similar models. So from that point of view, what can you share in terms of what your costs look like?
We could say that mainly we see that there's usually a big problem with a hectare-based pricing, because a hectare-based pricing means that people tend to be more restrictive with what they want to get insights about. When it comes to invasive species or forest damages, that tends not to be a good way of doing it. Being restrictive with what you analyze will probably make it so that you miss important areas.
Right.
So we're actually trying to give our customers the possibility to analyze as much as they want on their estates, which means that we're trying to get a fixed price per estate, and then let the customers do 100 analysis or one analysis for the same price in their estate.
Yeah, makes sense. So for our audience, what if I paraphrase what Markus and Jacob are saying is, it depends. You have to call them to figure out what it is, what you need. It's too variable. It depends. There's too many factors, and they'll help guide you through their process, and that's totally cool and understandable. So I want to shift the discussion a little bit, because I've enjoyed it very much, learning more about you and putting you on the hot seat a little bit. To be honest with you, it's part of the fun. But I'm also curious to know what your views are on the future, because we could deep dive, specific AI technologies, specific cloud technologies. But again, in the Digital Forester podcast, most of our audience, they're not those, a large proportion of them are, I would call, geeks and nerds, and I say that in a loving way, but there's also a large proportion that are still learning about their digital transformation journey. So I'd like to shift the discussion maybe more into the future. I'm curious to know what both of you think. So on the drones front, it sounds like, if you have drones fly and collect data, you have a guide that you can provide, best practices. But where do you see the drone world going in the next couple years, or has it reached a point of maturity that it's good enough for what you need to do? Or is there something that excites you that, man, if we can just tweak that drone side a little bit more, we can get so much more out of that Arboair platform?
From the drone side, I think I think there will be more specialized drones for different kind of like work, like if they're going to go to mines or if they're going to go to the forest or the fields, and I think that the requirements will be a little bit different. So because now it's almost like DJI having almost the whole market, right? And they do their drones in their way that they've done all, and everybody just needs to adapt to that, right? So that we work with what we have. But I think in the future there will be more specialized drones for different kind of environments. AI wise, I think like AI, it's going to be everywhere. It's not like, oh, the internet, it's going to pass. No, the internet is staying and the AI are staying there. So I think it's just going to be more of that because it's such a powerful tool to use. Then I think like all over the world, we've been speaking like in Europe anyhow, like I think in US and Canada too, speaking a lot more about the climate and the climate change and, the UN reports, IPCC reports talking about like the last one I read this year, they said like, how we handle the forest and how we take care of the forest is one of the biggest impact of like capturing carbon, on the surface of our surface of the earth, and also like I think it's going to be more and more critical just to look into like how much carbon is captured in my state, in my city, in my town, all that kind of stuff, analyzing. And also like I think also like in the long run also talking more about biodiversity. Can we look into biodiversity? What if we do harvesting in the way that we do today? Is it really is it a good way for biodiversity? Really, should we change it? I don't know, but I think we're going to look into that, and it's going to be some kind of change, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, certainly the recent announcements from the UN on climate change and where we're going, I think I was going to say a stark warning, but maybe it's the starkest of multiple warnings. We're on a well past maybe that point of no return. Jacob, from your side, what do you think of on the technology side that will be disruptive over the coming years, or maybe what gets you excited as you think forward into the future?
I get excited by seeing how much after the drone industry is. So it's so far behind what the need is. It's been a lot of the drone industry has been influenced way too much by agriculture and construction. It seems like the drone manufacturers and the ones that have focused on drone operations and developing solutions for drones and drone imagery has missed the forest. The forest covers a huge amount of the world and is a huge industry. And drones are perfect. They're perfect to get around where you're not able to access by yourselves, where it's too unflexible or too expensive to fly with an airplane. So what I would want to see is stations around the world where you actually could just like rent a drone, setting them out to just automatically fly up, scan areas, and then fly back. That would be awesome. And I think that if the drone industry it's going to move more towards actually collecting data like satellites are today. Satellites are just like clipping images here and there, and then we're using single images to gain insights from an area. When it comes to drones, it's more made to be collecting high overlap images to create high overlap orthomosaics. It takes a lot of time, and you use a lot of images get insights. What we do at Arboair, we can use one single image to gain insights of an area. And we're if you can just cover an area with no overlap at all, you can still fully cover an area of a forest and gain you the same insights as you get when you fly a high overlap to create a real orthomosaic and so on. So using drones more like satellites, I think that could be I think that could be a good way of actually utilizing them more for.
So I want to poke at one of your comments when you said, the drone industry's kind of looked over forestry. What open question to either one of you? Why do you think that is?
Oh,
I think agriculture and construction are industries that has been going a bit faster. They're a bit smaller, and especially you could actually usually compare agriculture to forestry. They are a bit alike in the industry and in the technology and so on. And I think it's been easier to develop for agriculture than for forestry. And forestry it's been working for so long. At the same time as the prices for food are shoveled down into the ground, and the farmers need to get more efficient ways of working. They have to drive that kind of innovation to be profitable. The forest industry hasn't been put to the test, so to say, when it comes to the same kind of development.
Right. What about you, Markus? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's like, usually the forest is very, the areas are so large. They're so big areas, that you want to scan. And in the beginning, there were limitations of the battery capacity flying those drones. And it seems like it's, for every year, it's the same in the car industry and everywhere, the battery capacities are getting better and better. And I think that's some kind of problem that they had. They started off flying drones in a very small area, where you can just use a little bit of battery, just filming, taking images. So, but as time goes, it's going to be more and more, some, as I said before, I think some drones going to have just wings and fly for like hours and hours, just scanning everything, almost like the satellites, as Jacob talked about. Yeah, I don't know. That could be.
For sure. So as a precision forestry company who does use AI, one question I forgot to ask, I was looking at my notes here. We all know with AI, you've got to train the models. So in the Arboair model, is this something, again, in the secret sauce that you have your own, the non-AI guy calls it the library, your own proprietary library data? Or is this something when you go talk to a BUSA or somebody, they need to provide that to you to make the magic work?
A BUSA?
Oh, sorry, the farmer. I heard Busa for his name. Busa.
Oh, Busa. Okay. Okay. So if we have something very special about the AI and how we trained it, is it that the question?
Yeah, the training data. Do you have your own training data, or would I have to provide you training data or field data to make the solution work?
Yeah, I understand. No, we have our own training data.
That's what I thought.
And actually, we made the training data from like a large variety of different kind of drones, different kind of settings, lights, altitudes, and so on. And there's been Jägmästare. Do you know the name for that, Jacob?
Forestry, forester. They're educated in forestry.
Yeah,
bachelor in forestry.
And they go to university 5 years to learn forestry, to like learn everything about it. So those kind of people are doing actually the I mean, the ground truth for us.
Right, for sure. Cool. So as we look to wind down, before we get there, a question I have to ask, given where we are today, and it's talked about like literally every single day, and you probably know where I'm going already, but ChatGPT 3 and then even ChatGPT 4 is out here. So for those listening that may not be familiar, it's an LLM, large language model, AI. You can ask it and converse with it as if it was a human and ask it questions.
Yeah.
Google has their Bard, OpenAI, that's ChatGPT, and Microsoft, and there's all sorts of different variants. Pretty cool technology, but I'm curious to know each of your thoughts. Scary or excited as you watch what's unfolding on that space? And based on your answer, how does that guide where Arboair is going in the next year in terms of your product roadmap and your innovation? It's a big one, I know.
It's a big one. I use ChatGPT, and I love it. I think it's really, really good. You can ask it anything, and it just gives you an answer. Like, who am I? Oh, now I know. But but the thing is, with all kind of technology, it's been the same like since Einstein. He made like splitting atoms. And it could be used for very good stuff, and it could be used for terrible stuff. So, and we're trying to like save the forest with it. We're trying to like keep the carbon going, the trees living and a good healthy environment. We're also like, people can take out forest and build big houses with forest and lumber and so on. But you can also make weapons with those things. So it's always the balance of life. It's getting into like the balance of life, and if you get too much of something, it's you lose something else, and I don't know, yin and yang.
Yeah, for sure. Jacob, what do you think?
I think that ChatGPT is based on what's out on the internet, and the internet is full of crap. So it will definitely give us a lot of crap. And it's full of bias, and it's totally amazing when it comes to some things that we use it for. It's incredible at some different kind of things, but it's also very general in its application and in what it does. But I think that it has the potential of being like this kind of broad help in a lot of sense. What we're doing in Arboair is trying to do something that fits into a more niche solution, something that can be defined by a specific problem or need that we can solve. That's what we're trying to achieve more. And I think what I've learned from ChatGPT is that bias can be good, bias can be bad. And when it comes to Arboair, bias can be really good, because when it like as it is today, you have a lot of sources that can go wrong. But with our solution, let's say that we have a precision and a recall of 95%. It's very persistent with what it does wrong, and that's something that's very, very positive with an AI, I think.
Right. Very cool. It's a great answer.
What do you think, Kevin?
What do I think? Well, in the discussion and things you guys said, the term AI for good, right, is a theme that Markus captures what you said. There's benefits to society for sure, and we got to use it in a good way, but you can also use it in nefarious ways. I think there's a camp that's kind of diminishing it in the sense that when we think about, deep learning, neural networks, I did a course in grad school on neural networks, like I'm going to date myself, but 20 years ago. So that not necessarily new, but how they've put ChatGPT together in the cloud, and like, that's fascinating. So I'm very, I don't want to say bullish or excited about it. I am, but I think it's more of a a fundamental point in time where we're pivoting. So the internet was one last go around, mobile was another,
Yeah.
and this is the third one. So the sooner people can accept or get on board with that, even watching the speed of other firms integrating AI into their companies, it's almost like if you don't, you're gonna die. Yeah, like as a business, you gotta leverage it and do something with it. Otherwise, someone else, and it could be a person or the AI itself, is gonna do it and put you out of business. So that's a part that scares me, but also excites me because there's so much you can do with it, and we're just scratching at the surface right now. We're very early, I think, across the board. So I'm very much excited to see what the world can do, and to both your points, what it could do for forestry, natural resource management, carbon management, climate change, the benefit society as a whole. So very, very much excited on that. So guys, I know we're at time. I know you're both super busy. Jacob, you just had a new bundle of joy join your life. And as I joke, you're early, 2 weeks in. So baby's still cute for now, or maybe another 48 hours. We'll see if Marcus has gone through it, right? And I don't know if when I was talking to Marcus, I guess you guys got to give a live demo to the King of Sweden next week. So no pressure, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
None whatsoever. So
we already talked to the prince, so why not the king?
Yeah,
it's time to talk to the king now.
Yes,
he owns a lot of forest in Sweden, actually.
Yeah. But this time, I want to see a selfie. I know in your notes you're like, we didn't think to take a selfie with the prince. I want to see that on social media. Tweet with you two guys with the king with a selfie, and I'll like it and we'll retweet it. But thanks so much for joining me on this call. I had a great time learning about you. I love you asking questions back. Fantastic. So if folks want to reach you to learn more, whether to partner on the drone side, on the AI side, or to hire you for your capabilities, what's the best way they can get a hold of you? Is it email, website, social? What can you share?
Arboair.com.
Yeah.
Everything's there. Our LinkedIn, our TikTok, our Instagram, our Facebook, our phone numbers, emails, everything is accessible via arboair.com.
There you go. Awesome. Love it. Modern company. Other people are like, well, not one social or the other. You guys got it all. You're like, listen, awesome. So Marcus, Jacob, thanks so much for
joining. Do you have a TikTok, Kevin?
TikTok. The reason I don't use TikTok is because if I have it on my phone, there goes the day. I just sit there scrolling. I'm fascinated by it, but it also does terrible things on my work-life balance and schedules. But guys,
I get that.
Yeah.
If you would have TikTok, you will see us dance there.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, so I want a selfie with the king and I want to dance off with the king on social. I love it. Looking forward to that. So guys, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate the conversation. Wishing you all the luck. And I'm going to watch from the side to see what you guys do and rest of the community. But I encourage everyone who's listening to this podcast to reach out to Markus and Jacob from Arboair and see what they're up to. And on that note, all the best with that demo next week, and we'll see you on social.
See you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting us.